And today we're going to continue with Title IV, Promoting the General Welfare. It's a reminder that the word welfare has a specific meaning. It means health, happiness, prosperity. These are the things that Congress is supposed to be promoting and providing. And so today we're going to talk about paid family leave. Section 421 is the first one, the findings and purpose. Just as a brief overview, this whole subtitle on paid family leave mostly comes from a Senate bill introduced by Senator Gillibrand of New York. S-248 is the Family Act. It stands for Family and Medical Insurance Leave Act. I'm not sure where the Y in family comes from, but it makes a good acronym. And the bill that she has introduced, not just this session of Congress, but for 3 or 4 previous sessions of Congress, would establish paid family leave of 12 weeks. And in the Blueprint for a Better America, we go closer to global standards and bring it up to 18 weeks of paid family leave. I'd like to just briefly read the findings from Section 421 into the record. Congress finds the following. 1, the United States is one of only a handful of nations that does not protect new mothers by providing paid maternal leave, which is a demonstrated way to reduce the infant mortality rate. Our rate in 2018 was 5.7 deaths per 1,000 live births, or more than 65% higher than the European Union average. 2, if America's infant mortality rate could be brought down to the average of the European Union, the lives of an estimated 9,000 newborns would be saved annually, or 1 baby every hour of every week of every month of every year. 3, paid family leave will better enable both men and women to take care of family members in need, strengthening families and reducing the public costs of care. It is the purpose of this subtitle to improve the health, happiness, and prosperity of working people by empowering them to take time away from work to provide care for a family member. Paid family leave is just good policy. That is why virtually every nation on the planet has adopted it in some form or another. Women who have access to paid maternity leave, they have lower odds of getting rehospitalized. They have lower rates of depression. They have increased levels of physical and emotional well-being. To take the economic stress of trying to rush back to work in a short amount of time really can strengthen families. And it's, as we just talked about, is associated with a lower infant mortality rate. It's good for employers too, because happier employees are more productive employees. And if you fire someone for having the audacity to have a sick family member or have a baby, then you've got to start back at square one and train a new employee. California instituted a paid leave program back in the early 2000s. And according to an article in Time magazine of May 2019, they found that, quote, using data from nearly all employers that existed in California between 2000 and 2014, researchers for the California Employment Development Department found that the average firm had lower per worker wage costs and lower turnover rates than it did before a paid parental leave law took effect. This is good for businesses. It's good for families. It's good for everyone. And it is time for the United States to join the rest of the civilized world and offer paid family leave to all employees. And with that, Mixed Chair, I think that concludes my testimony for Section 421, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Yes, I have a question. How do the improvements from paid family leave compared to similar measurements when implementing a basic income or a universal basic income? And those same metrics, how do they compare?
That's a great question. And I'm not sure of any direct comparisons between the two. So some of the benefits you find with the universal basic income include, lower stress, more trust in government and in society, less healthcare usage. There's a whole bunch of benefits that we'll be talking about next week, I think, with the American Union Jobs Program. Paid family leave is completely separate from that. Your universal basic income under this legislation is unconditional. Doesn't matter whether you're employed or not. If you quit your job when if you have a baby or something, it doesn't matter. Universal basic income is unconditional. The paid family leave only applies to paid employment. So if you have paid employment, or if you're self-employed, you'd be eligible under this subtitle. Does that answer your question? Sort of.
Sort of, yes, that helps.
Section 422 is definitions, pretty standard stuff. It's just a couple that I want to touch on. One is, what is the definition of qualified caregiving under this section? And it's the same as what's under the Family Medical Leave Act, which is what we have now, that was passed in the 1990s, that allows people to take unpaid family leave and guarantees that large employers can't fire them for taking off up to 12 weeks. And so basically what this covers is anything under that, which is the birth of a son or daughter, the placement of a son or daughter with the employee if you adopt for adoption, take care of a spouse, a son or daughter, a parent of the employee because of a serious health condition, any qualifying exigency, that such as being called to serve in the armed forces. And so those are the things that would be qualified under paid family leave. The two other definitions I want to just touch on is there's a 90-day limitation period that you get paid for up to 90 days. You can use up to 20 of those days per month. So the paid leave would cover 4.5 months, and it starts after an initial waiting period. And that's the last definition I want to cover, is just the initial waiting period is 5 days, 5 caretaking days, or the end of the calendar month that you started performing caretaking duties in. So you can think of that as your deductible for these insurance payments. So with that, I think that concludes my testimony for section 422.